Hello everyone, welcome back to the library. I'm Laura. As you can tell, today we are a little bit up close and personal, and that is because I have decided to do the booktube makeup tag. This tag originally had 11 questions, but I added a 12th because there's one makeup item that I use and many people use that wear makeup that was not represented on this tag, so I just added my own. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I have taken off my glasses and pulled my bangs back. My face is washed and moisturized. Not that anyone cares, but just to let you know. So the first item on this tag is primer, and it says to pick a book that left a lasting impression. And so I picked A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This has been one of my favorite books since I was a little girl. My grandma got me these really cool Hallmark, I believe, editions. Yes, Hallmark gift book editions. I have this one, and I also have The Secret Garden. But A Little Princess is my favorite. If you don't know, this is about this little girl named Sarah Crewe who grew up in India, but her father takes her back to his homeland, England, to be in this boarding school and go to school. And of course she's like the richest girl there because her father is, I believe he's involved in like diamonds or something. I don't exactly remember, but he's very, very rich, so she has all these items. And then later in the book, something happens and she loses all her wealth and basically gets turned into a servant. And like no one knows she's there, because I believe she doesn't have any other family. So basically they just turn her into a servant, but at the end, there's of course, it turns happy, just like The Secret Garden. And I've reread this book, I don't know how many times. I actually need to reread it because it's been a little while, but I love this book. And the primer that I use most of the time is the NYX Born to Glow, and it's just a luminizing primer. So usually what I do is, I'm clustering out, so usually I just dot it all over my face. I don't know how hygienic it is, but oh well, I probably need to clean off the nozzle. Anyways, just usually dot it all over my face and rub it in. And it gives my skin a nice little glow. I don't think it really helps hold my makeup on, but it works for me. The next item on the tag is foundation, and for this you are supposed to pick a favorite first book in a series, and I currently have One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake from the library, but the first one is Three Dark Crowns. I read it last week. I'm not going to hold this up because it has the library cover. In this matriarchal society, there's a queen, and she always has triplet girls, and they are separated into different caretaking houses and gain different powers. They could be poisoners, naturalists, or elementals. And they're raised into these powers so that eventually they can kill each other off until one is left and she succeeds to the throne. Now, I had heard about this book for a long, long time. I think it's probably one of the first books I heard about on BookTube, and I've been in a fantasy mood, and so I finally decided to pick it up, but not expecting to love it as much as I did, and seriously loved it so much. So the foundation that I've been using, I don't have the full bottle of it because I just got a sample, but this is the Josie Maran Vibrancy Foundation in RG5. This is a very lightweight foundation, but it has pretty good light. You could probably make it medium coverage, and it's very, very glowy. I don't like matte foundations, but I am loving this, and once I get paid for the month, I'm definitely going to be picking up a full-size bottle. I don't have much left, so basically what I do is I just dot this all over my face. And then I blend it in with my Real Techniques sponge. Alright, so there's my foundation. Like I said, it it doesn't have very high coverage, but it just kind of evens out my complexion and gives me a nice glow. The next item is concealer, and for this you are supposed to pick a character that you would get rid of. And easily I would get rid of the character Ruth from Never Let Me Go. I don't want to say too much about this book because I think it's better to go into it not knowing much. Really wasn't my favorite book, one of my most disappointing books of last year. But I think it would have been better. I didn't hate it, and I think it would have been better without Ruth. She was just this really annoying friend character that made lots of annoying, stupid decisions. I didn't like her at all. I used two different concealers. I used the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous, and then I used this under my eyes, and I used the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer on any blemishes that I have. So, and then I blend those out with my sponge. So, like I said, I usually just put this under here. Sometimes I'll put it on my eyelids too, but that's if I'm not going to use eyeshadow primer, and I'm going to today. So I'm just going to add a little bit. I don't do the whole triangle with my concealer. I don't feel like I need a lot, so I'm going to blend that in. And then, like I said, I use this one on my little demon pimples, like this giant thing over here, and some of these these are more scars now, but I just use that on those because it's a little more heavy duty. The next item is powder, and you're supposed to pick your favorite last book in a series, and I apologize I don't have this book, but I would pick A Conjuring of Light by V. Schwab from the Shades of Magic series, and this is a series where there are 4 different Londons, and each of them have a different amount or type of magic, and there are people that can travel between these worlds, and a lot of crazy evil stuff happens. Has some of the best characters of all time. I read all 3 from this series last year, and I loved it. It was awesome. Now the powder that I use is the Maybelline Fit Me, and this is just 100 translucent. I use 2 Real Techniques brushes for this. I use the setting brush under my eyes. Excuse my weird faces I make, I can't help it. And I use the powder brush on my cheeks. So I only set this area because I want my face to stay glowy, and I only set this area so that the rest of my powders will blend in pretty good, and sometimes I'll just do it on the sides because I do put bronzer up there. But I like to keep the middle of my face nice and glowy, and I feel like this foundation stays on pretty well and doesn't really need a powder, at least during the winter. The next item is eyebrows, and this is to pick a book that you think everyone should read. And definitely A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. He is the author of The Kite Runner, and this was his second book. And I can't really explain this book. It was my favorite book probably that I read last year, and probably one of my favorite books of all time, if not my favorite. This is about a girl who has a rich father, but she is his illegitimate child because he didn't marry her mother, and eventually something happens and she has to leave, and he won't take her into his house. So basically he gives her away as a bride to this old creepy dude. And this book follows her journey. It's very terrifying and heartbreaking that stuff like this really did happen in Afghanistan and still happens all over the world. So basically it follows her story, and then we get another girl whose story intertwines with the First Lady's, and becomes even more heartbreaking, more harrowing. But this is such a beautifully written book, and really you should read it just for, if not even for just the historical aspect, and that there is a lot of truth in this even though it is fictional. Now, the eyebrow products that I use are the Daiso eyebrow pencil, and this is $1.50 from the Daiso store, and I love it. And then I also use the Essence Lash and Brow Gel. I apologize, but I cannot do my brows in my camera. I'm gonna have to go in my bathroom and use the mirror, but I will be back when I am done with that. Alright, so I'm back, and now I actually have eyebrows, and they're a little bolder than I wanted them to be, but you know what, that's okay, I wear glasses, so it kind of hides them. The next item is eyeshadow, and this is to pick a book that has your favorite colors on the cover. And for this, I picked All the Light We Cannot See, and I have not read this yet, but I love blues and teals and greens, and this just has all of them on there. I do need to read this book soon. It is sad that I have not, but anyways, this is on my shelf for this year to read anyway, but yes, I love the colors on here. And for eyeshadow, I was going to do like my daily work look, but I'm tired. It's actually Sunday afternoon, and I'm just doing this because I wanted to, and I'm gonna film some other videos after this. So I'm just gonna do a real easy eyeshadow look. I'm going to use my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion, and then I will set the eyeshadow primer with Vermeer from Anastasia Beverly Hills, Modern Renaissance, why I just forget the name of this, I use it every day, Modern Renaissance palette, and then, to be honest, today, I am just going to blend a little bit of my bronzer, which you will see in a little while. So there is my very easy eyeshadow look for the day. The next item is eyeliner, and for this you're supposed to pick a dark and mysterious book. And for this I picked And the Trees Crept In by Dawn Kurtagic. And I read this book in 2017, and I don't remember when I read it. It was in the middle of the year, so I don't quite remember everything about it. But this is about two girls who leave their home because of very bad circumstances and basically trudge through the rain and mud and whatever else to get to their aunt's house in the woods. And they've always been told that this aunt is crazy, but she is the only other family they know. So she takes them into to the family's big mansion. And I listened to this on audiobook, and it was terrifying. So basically, they're in this mansion, and all this creepy stuff starts happening because there's this creepy Shadow Man. I don't remember what he's called, but he's almost like Slender Man, but sounds even scarier. And so he keeps showing up, and as they're in this house, the trees in the forest keep getting closer and closer to the house. And so this creepy guy is getting closer and closer. And I did not expect to like this book so much, but it was awesome. Like, I need to get the hard copy of it because it's so good, but if you can, listen to the audiobook because it is super creepy, like whispers and voices in the background. Like, I was at work and I was creeped out. So you should definitely pick up this book if you like creepy stuff. And I use two different eyeliners technically. So I use the L'Oreal Voluminous Superstar eyeliner. It's a like pen marker eyeliner, and I use this to do a cat eye. And then I use the NYX Wonder Pencil in, I believe, Light. This is in Light, and I use that in my waterline just to brighten it up. I have to apologize again because I can't do this here. I'm gonna have to go use the mirror again. It would take me forever also, so. All right, so there is my eyeliner. Nice and cat eye. Pretty proud of myself. Just started doing my eyeliner again, and I hadn't never used a marker before, but I wanted to do winged liner for my wedding, so I started practicing again, and like I said, pretty proud of myself. The next item is mascara, and for this, you're supposed to pick a long book. And for this, I picked Nosferatu by Joe Hill. It is pretty ginormous. Let me see. I believe it's like 700 and, oh, this says 692. So 692 pages. I think this was probably the biggest book I read this year. I actually listened to the audio book, but it's really good. I really loved this book. And the mascara that I have been using is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. This is a dupe for Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, which I liked, but it was super flaky. This is also the waterproof version, and I love this so much better, and it's a lot cheaper. Alright, so mascara that you can't really see because of my eyeliner, but I promise it's there. Next is the item that I actually added onto this list, and because it wasn't on here, but so I added bronzer slash contour, and for this I said to pick a book that warms your heart. And for that I picked The Boston Girl by Anita Diamant, and I listened to the audiobook of this in 2017. If you've been watching my videos, you know I absolutely loved this. This is about a woman growing up in Boston who has immigrant parents, and she's basically telling her life story to her granddaughter. And I just love these types of stories. It was super heartwarming. It did have sad parts, but it was mostly amazing. Great female friendships, had some cute romance at parts, so I really, really love this book. It warms my heart. And the bronzer that I use is what I used on my eyes earlier, and this is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and this is just in the shade Bronzer. So I just put this on my cheeks with this little brush and on my forehead a little bit, and sometimes just a tad on my nose. The next item on the list is blush, and this is to pick a book with a cringy romance. And I don't read a lot of romance books, but the one that came to mind is The Romance in What Alice Forgot, and this is by Leanne Moriarty. And in this book, this woman named Alice gets knocked out at the gym and basically loses, I believe, 10 years of her life. So she doesn't know that she has children, doesn't know that she's gotten a divorce from who she believes is the love of her life. So basically, in this book, she's still in love with her husband, even though everyone's like, no, you're not. You do not want to be with him. And she has another boyfriend. And she's like, I don't know how to feel about him. And she's like, wait, do I love my ex-husband, or like, do we hate each other? I don't know. Like, I really liked this book. I actually loved this book, but I found the romance really, really cringy. The blush that I'm gonna use is in this little Z palette that I have. I have a couple of things in here. I'm gonna use this kind of orangey, peachy one, and this is Bliss by Makeup Geek. I don't always wear a lot of blush, to be honest, but I'm going to since this has it on here. And don't worry if this looks a little muddy and weird, I am going to blend it out once I'm done with all my powders. Alright, we're almost to the end. Next we have highlighter, and this is to pick a book that brightened your day, and for this I picked A Man Called Ova by Frederick Bachman, I believe. I hope I'm right about that. Anyways, this is about an old crotchety man in Sweden who basically hates everything except for his car, and if stuff isn't perfectly right in his neighborhood, in his life, he just gets grumpy and angry and yells. But this new family moves in next to him, knocks over his mailbox, drives all over the yard like they're not supposed to do, and he basically ends up becoming kind of friends with them, friendly with them as they start to take care of him, and almost, he becomes almost like a grandfatherly figure to them. This was a really funny and sweet book. It reminded me a lot of Gran Torino. Now, the ending is very different, but it still had the old, grumpy, sort of racist guy who changes his ways. And I listened to the audiobook of this. I think this was the second book I read this year, and it was so good. I need to get the hard copy. Now, the highlight that I use is actually an eyeshadow, and this is Makeup Geek Shimma Shimma, and I really like this. I wish there was like a highlight just like it, but there may be, and I just haven't found it. And then, like I said, I'm just going to blend this all out. And the last thing in this tag is lipstick, and this is to pick your favorite book kiss. Now, I don't really pay attention to book kisses. I've probably read plenty of books with book kisses, and I don't really remember any of them. And I really can't talk about any without it being a spoiler, I guess. So, to be honest, I'm gonna skip this question. And the lip products I'm going to use today are the NYX matte lipstick in Eurotrash. What a horrible name, by the way. And then the Maybelline Baby Lips lip gloss in, I don't know, this pinky color. So that is it for the booktube makeup tag. I really enjoyed doing this. I love makeup. It's one of my other loves besides books, so I just really wanted to do this. So I hope all of you who do also like makeup and books enjoyed this, because I enjoyed myself. If you have any questions about any of the books I talked about or any of the products I use, please leave me a comment. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.